Thanks again for joining us, National Chief. I'd love to find out your opinion on what role do you think that Canadians can play in addressing the lingering issues around all of these unmarked graves?
Our allies, non-Indigenous allies, can actually reach out to their governments, so their MPs, their MPPs, their mayors, and really get them to ensure that we have proper memorials. So right now, for example, there was a discussion around the flag at half-mast in Ottawa. And, how do you begin to replace that very meaningful symbolic gesture with something that honors the lives of our little ones that are being recovered at these schools? And so it's really our allies who will tell governments that it's not enough to say, okay, it's time to lower or to raise the flag again. There has to be some kind of action. And I also think that it's important for allies to reach out to the First Nations around them, communities around them, to be able to get answers from First Nations as opposed to coming up with their own solutions.
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because one of the concerns is every time there's an issue for First Nations and people have great ideas, they want to go ahead with that. Government is the worst. And so I'm wondering, how do you think we can make sure that it's Indigenous peoples and Indigenous families and communities leading the way on the solutions for unmarked graves?
It's really important for the federal government, who is taking the lead on this issue, to be checking in with the various levels of leadership across the country, right from the community level all the way up to the regional and national level on the path forward. We developed a document for the election called the Healing Path Forward, and it really outlines that principle of doing something together, that we're walking that road together, that the government is not off running ahead of us, and more importantly, that we're not walking that road alone. And so they really have to shift their thinking, because there's still a real paternalism that exists in Canada, where governments, they do research, they do risk analysis, they do all kinds of this work that helps them to make decisions. But where they seem to be really lacking is in working at the community level with chiefs and councils and even members who are knowledge keepers in particular areas, and coming up with solutions that work for everyone. So it's about meeting each other halfway. So government can't impose solutions, and First Nations have to also find that middle road when it comes to their own solutions, but they have to ultimately be community-driven solutions.
Well, thank you so much, National Chief, for sharing these thoughts with Canadians and everybody who's listening, so that we can all walk this path forward together. Thanks again.
Thank you, Pam. Take care.